of a primer of how we got to this point, but before we go there, you were on the show numerous times arguing the Hobby Lobby case, or sort of explaining the Hobby Lobby case. How long ago was that?
We won the Hobby Lobby case back in June 30th, 2014. I'll never forget that date, McGraw, because it was the last day of the Supreme Court term, and that's the day that the court said Hobby Lobby wins, Obamacare loses.
And you were part of that team that helped overturn Obamacare.
Yeah, I was one of the lawyers for Hobby Lobby and David and Barbara Green, and we fought that all the way to the Supreme Court, and it stands, I think, as one of the greatest victories for religious liberty in 50 years, and just a victory for the Constitution and limited government.
Because, explain it real quick, because this is a really interesting case. What was the argument Hobby Lobby made, or what was the hobby you made for Hobby Lobby?
Well, what we said in that case is, look, the government does not have the right to tell business people or Americans of any background, they don't have the right to tell us what we can believe in the workplace or in order to do business. They don't have the right to tell us how to do our own business, how to run our own lives. And what's going on in that case was Obama was trying to tell David and Barbara Green that they had to pay for abortion-inducing drugs just in order to run their company. Absolutely outrageous. And that's the argument that we fought and we won on all the way at the Supreme Court.
What was the final vote?
The final vote was 5-4. It was by the slimmest of margins, and it was a great victory. I tell you, McGraw, we were told over and over. I was told, I often got to speak for our team in public, that we'd never win that case, but we did it, and it just shows you how important the Supreme Court is, and what kind of challenge we are facing, the crisis that we are facing with our constitutional liberties, that we have to fight these cases, and it's this close. And that's why we need an attorney general in the state of Missouri who's going to take on the left, who's going to take on the liberals in court, and knows how to fight and win against Obama and his liberal allies. Okay, so you were also a law professor at Missouri, is that correct? Yeah, I have been. My background is not in politics, but in law, and I've been a constitutional lawyer, religious liberty lawyer, and I've also taught constitutional law the last few years as well.
Okay. Now, and so now we come to today and today's story, and we want to just take a moment. And I'm sort of caught between a rock and a hard place. I want to talk about this ridiculously bogus ad that you've seen, that I've seen, but the audience hasn't seen. You play it, so you're giving it credence, but you have to play it so that people can understand how bogus it is. So forgive me if I'm breaking any violations, but we've decided to sort of play the ad. This commercial is now running across the state, and it is paid for by Citizens for Kurt Schaefer, which is your opponent in the Republican primary. This is the commercial that is airing now.
It's unthinkable, but Supreme Court documents show Professor Josh Hawley worked for Abdul Malik Muhammad, the terrorist known as the American Taliban. Muhammad slit his girlfriend's throat, threatened to kidnap George W. Bush's daughters. Still, Josh Hawley sued law enforcement so Muhammad could practice radical Islam. Josh Hawley worked for a terrorist. He should never work for Missouri.
Okay, Josh Hawley. The floor is yours. What are your thoughts as you hear that ad?
Well, I would say that politics has sunk to a new low. When you think it can't get any worse, I mean, here it is. To be called by one's opponent a terrorist sympathizer, which is what Kurt Schaefer is saying about me, utterly, absolutely false. I have never represented a terrorist in my life. This is a completely false, smeared campaign. He knows it's false. He is doing this because he wants to change the subject. I mean, he has a record of siding with big government, and indeed Obama, when we were litigating the Hobby Lobby case, McGraw, Senator Schaefer was the only Republican to vote no on the Hobby Lobby bill here in our state that would have protected business people of faith in our state. He voted no on that twice. He has a very moderate to liberal record. That is, he's been no friend to conservatives, and now he's desperate, and so he's calling me a terrorist. So look, if this is what politics apparently has come to, but it's absolutely unbelievable. It's absolutely false, and I can tell you the people of Missouri deserve better.
Okay, so in the ad, they show a graph of your name being on some type of Supreme Court document. Explain that.
Yeah, this is a filing in the case, one of a number of filings in the case, and the law firm that I worked for at the time mistakenly included my name in a list of other attorneys, and then quickly corrected it when they realized what they had done, and that realized that they'd included my name in error. Then they corrected it, and said, "Oh, that's our bad." And what he has done is seized on this error and said, "Aha! Josh Hawley is working for terrorists, for heaven's sake." By the way, the case had nothing to do with terrorism, but he's working, and this is not even a case in which I appeared as a lawyer, and he's basically taking a misprint and then trying to turn it into a case about terrorism and call me a terrorist sympathizer. Again, it's just, if ever there was a definition of smear, this is it, and it is just an attempt. I mean, we've seen this many, many times. Maybe not ever quite this bad in Missouri, but it's just a desperate attempt to change the subject. And I don't think the people of Missouri are going to buy it.
So explain to me the rules. It says at the end of the ad, paid for by Citizens for Kurt Schaefer, and then announces the treasurer. Does that mean that it's a different PAC that has no affiliation with Kurt Schaefer, or is this coming directly from his campaign?
Oh, no, it's directly from his campaign. In fact, Senator Schaefer has sent out emails about it, and he's posted on Facebook. I mean, he's very proud of this. This is how he intends to win. This is his campaign. His entire campaign now is centered on lies and fleas, and it is just a flat-out smear. He's going to stand on this, and this is how he intends to. This is the centerpiece of his campaign, is calling his opponent a terrorist. I mean, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know what will.
The ad is new. What type of reaction have you gotten from this ad since it's appeared?
Oh, I mean, people just saying to me, calling in and saying, we cannot believe that we are seeing this in the state of Missouri. Senator John Danforth yesterday spoke to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch saying that this is rightly pointing out this is an intentional, malicious misstatement of fact. This is the kind of thing that the legal code of ethics does not permit attorneys to do. I mean, to deliberately misrepresent facts in public actually violates the lawyer's code, and this from a guy who wants to be attorney general. So, I've been heartened by people who have, like Senator Danforth and others all over the state, who have taken a stand already on this. This just came out yesterday and said, this is outrageous. I mean, this is outrageous. And look, this is the kind of thing we have to change. I mean, I haven't run for any office before or held any office, and this is the kind of thing I am running to put a stop to. I mean, this is politics as usual in Jefferson City. We've been through this with the Schweik tragedy. Enough is enough of this slime and sleeve. It's got to stop.
Kurt Schaefer, was he not once a Democrat?
Yeah, Kurt actually ran. Senator Schaefer, who spent his whole life in government, by the way, he tried to get the Democrat nomination for a judge. I mean, he ran for a judge as a Democrat, didn't get it, and so then he switched and ran as a Republican for the Senate, and has always been a liberal Republican in the Senate. And this goes back to his record. He doesn't want to talk about his record. I mean, if you look at what I have been saying out there, what I have been talking about, what my campaign it's about the facts and it's about policy. He doesn't want to talk about that. He wants to change the subject. He wants to talk about false smears because he can't defend his record as a guy who was endorsed by the AFL-CIO, has voted against religious liberty, supported huge tax increases, endorsed by the National Education Association. So that's what we're seeing here. And again, I don't think the people of Missouri are going to buy it.
Josh Hawley with us, responding to what many people are calling a factually incorrect and below the belt, over the fray political ad run by Kurt Schaefer. Not only run by Kurt Schaefer, but endorsed by Kurt Schaefer. It's one of those ads that comes directly from his campaign. Josh Hawley, last question for you. People say that they run negative ads because they work. Are you afraid that this ad might actually gain some traction?
I think that the folks, the Republican primary voters, are going to look at this and they're going to say, this is ridiculous. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. You're telling me the guy who has spent his career standing up against Obamacare, for religious liberty, for our Constitution. You're telling me that he's a terrorist sympathizer? I don't think so. So, I think Senator Schaefer should be ashamed. I think he has violated the legal code of ethics. He ought to take this ad down immediately. He owes an apology to the people of Missouri. This is the kind of thing we have to change. And by golly, this just motivates me further to go out there and say, when I get elected general, we're going to change things in Jefferson City.
Josh Hawley, thank you for your time. Good luck down the road, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Thank you, McGraw. Great to talk with you.
You got it. 924, a big 550.